Ibu Vita online. Yeah.
Okay,
Please,
thank you. I will share my own. Sorry, I will share my own file. Yeah, okay, thank you. Because I have made some changes. All right. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, all right. Okay, thank you. So, wait. Yeah, so I will start with the title. So it's about audience reception analysis on Indonesian films. So actually, this is a research on audience reception analysis. So I gather some literature review on the audience reception research by people, but it's only limited to Indonesian films. So my name here is Vita Astuti. I'm from Atmajaya, but currently I'm not in Indonesia, in Korea. So I joined the online presentation. And okay, so our topic in Comicos today is about culture, technology, and well-being. So why talking about Indonesian films? Because it's related during lockdown. Because here the subtitle is Innovation for Well-being During and After the COVID-19 Pandemic. So we talk about during the lockdown or during the pandemic. It happens that the culture of watching movies are changing. So here I got the data, like the streaming viewers in Indonesia increased during the pandemic. And if we try to compare with the world population rank in 2022, by 2022, so China is the first, India is the second, United States is the third, and Indonesia is the fourth. But the streaming viewers in Indonesia is the first. So Indonesia got like 18% of the population watch streaming in watch movie in streaming platform. But India, China, German, and the United States is less than that. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, like the culture changed very, very differently. And then talking about the technology, so during the lockdown, we depended on technology, especially when we have online teaching or online classes, even in online entertainment too, like streaming platform. And then usually during the lockdown, people are really lonely, and then they cannot go out from the house. They cannot meet people. They cannot have fun for entertainment because all entertainment places are closed, especially the cinema. So to maintain their well-being or happiness, they can still watch movies, but using the streaming online. So this is the situation and the relation between why watching movies and why the pandemic, because it's really highly related. And this is the contents of my presentation. The first, I will talk about short history of Indonesian films, very short because I just got some minutes. And then the second is about Indonesian film audience. We talk about the people who watch, and then audience reception theories and also the result. Okay. So the first is the short history of Indonesian films. So I'm talking about independence, yeah, because actually the long history of the long history of films in Indonesia is started in Dutch occupancy, yeah, but it is not Indonesian films, or it is not called as national films. So that's why I start after the independence of Indonesia, that is in 1945. So in 1945, on March, it started the first Indonesian movie that is produced by an Indonesian and produced by an Indonesian company. So it's 100% by Indonesians. But before that, before the independence, it's all about Dutch and also about Japanese government. And then the the goals of the making movies are very different, because they are not our Indonesian people. Like Japanese, they use movie as a propaganda. But here, Darah dan Doa, or The Long March by Usmar Ismail, is the first 100% national film, although it talks about the war. And then, because this is very important, the 30th of March, the date is considered as an official National Film Day. And then there are like 4 phases. The second phase is 1965 to 1970. So there are a lot of political and economy issues. So the number of Indonesian films, Indonesian cinemas, and especially Indonesian watchers or the audience, ups and down because of the political things. And then the next phase is in 1970 to 1998. It started to have television. So the Indonesian people, almost everyone got television in their house, and they don't go to the cinema. And the number of the cinema decreasing too, because some cinema didn't get any audience at all. And then like here, if you can see Cinema XX1, Cinemax, or now is Cinepolis and also CGV, they are starting to be like the conglomerates of the cinemas in Indonesia, starting in the late 1980s, so 1990s onwards, right? And then there's also private TV networks. So the cinema is really struggled at that time. And then in 1998 until now, starting in 2000, the movie Petualangan Sherina got a 1 million audience. And this is a record for Indonesia. Usually we have less than that. So I will show you data here. So this is about Indonesian film audience. So here, I got the list and data from filmindonesia.or.id. And the viewers here are like less than 600. So there are, even in one title, Sidul Anak Modern, is only 92,000. It is the national record. But unfortunately, the record is not really valid, because at that time, usually people just buy tickets and then it is not recorded. And then the website here, filmindonesia.or.id, only can get some titles after the 1970s. And then we can see that from these titles, it's always less than 1 million. And then that's why Petualangan Sherina in 2000, when it gets like 1 million viewers or audience, it's really amazing, and then it should be celebrated. And then here, when we talk about the highest number of audience in 2022, it is recorded a movie entitled KKN Desa Penari. It got like 9 million viewers. So it's now the changing of film audience, and also film industry is pretty high. And then I'm going to talk about audience reception theories. Actually, there are many, and then it actually talks about how audiences make sense of their encounters with mass media. So it is about how people receive a message from the movie, how people react to the movie, how people get something from the movie. So these theories, starting in the 1980s, it is talked about mediated sense making, that is about movie. So the most prominent one is Stuart Hall in 1973 with Encoding Decoding, and then John Fisk and John Hartley about reading television, because at that time television is very popular. And then Ian Ang about watching galas. It's also about soap opera on television. And then Janice Redway, pretty different. She talks about a novel, and also how people see a genre that is romance. It's all about women. So this is more to qualitative approach. And then why audience reception research then? Why people need to do this kind of research? The goals are, I got 3 quotation that is to determine the position of the audience reception. It's like Stuart Hall, like the dominant, the negotiated, or the opposition. And then number two is to see how far the influence of film on the audience, especially on the society. And then another one, this is for the filmmakers. They can map the audience participation in the mediascape. If they want to have some popular movie, or if they want to get some money from it, they can do like this, and then they just see how is the market. And this is the result. I use a quantitative descriptive, and then my method is about narrative review on online journal articles. Why online? Why not offline? Because when I'm trying to find the printed journals, it's a bit difficult from the to enter the library, because the access is still limited, and then it's a bit difficult. And then I decide, okay, so this is pandemic, and this is all about online. So this is the result of online journal articles that can be accessed. And then I use these keywords like Indonesian film, movie in English, and also about Indonesian terms like penonton or halayak. And then the period is published in 2000 onwards, because Petualangan Serina broke the Indonesian highest record in the #1 audience. So it should be like a very important moment. And then I found the years of 2012 and then 2022. So the issues here is about religion and about women and about others. I found these titles as a result of the research. So some articles, they use these religion issues for their trying to find the audience reception. It's about polygamy, interreligion, Islamophobia, and also about transgender. So they want to find how people react to this kind of movies. So there are 8 titles related to the religion, 8 film titles, yeah. And then about women, 6 film titles that is used to see the audience reception. It's talk about feminism, gossip, body shaming, and also pornography. And then the next issues is about social issues. I got 6 film titles. G, The Act of Killing, Danau Begantung, Kill the Messengers, Alangkah Lucunya Negeri Ini, and Dua Garis Biru. So the social issues are about street children, about politics, activists, forest fires, about environment, and then journalism, and also about sex education. And then for race is only 2 film titles that is discussed in journal articles. It is about Chinese and minority. And then the other articles that cannot be categorized here is about the popularity. Dilan 1990s and Habibi and Ainun. So only 2 film titles that is used to see the audience reception, because it's talk about young adult and it's also talk about biography of famous person. So I got this 26 titles of journal articles, and then type of research are all qualitative. And then the theory they used, most of them like Stuart Hall, encoding, decoding, related to audience position of opposition, and also about negotiation or about the dominant one. And then 2 titles is talking about Bahtin, talking about the dialogic concept of heteroglossia. It's related to different types of audience, for example, Muslim and also Christian, or different race like Chinese or non-Chinese. And then the methodology, most of them interviews, and then like 2 focus group discussion, and then also interview and observation, and then only 1 using comments that is talking about a movie in YouTube channel. So they try to find the comments and then consider it as the reception. And then based on the result, I put some notes as a consideration for the next audience reception analysis, because of the topic is really limited. So, and then the most of them using Stuart Hall, I suggest that people can have more research using various theories and also methods, because we have like Ian Ang and also Janice and then also John Fisk. So there are more than that too. And then usually the audience or the informants used is not very specific. So like anyone, and then they just gathered and then ask questions. But it will be better and will have give a very good result if the audience is very specific. For example, if talk about religion, so it should be religious based audience, or maybe exactly non-religious based audience, but there is a specification for the reason of choice. And then number 3, wider range of issues. We got like 4 or 5 issues, but there are a lot of issues actually that we can have more than that. So for example, it's about crimes, about violence, about other things. And then the different genre, usually we got drama, maybe because Indonesian movies are about drama, not many about action, but we can talk about action, or maybe about animation of the movie, and also about the technology of movie. So there are a lot of things to talk about more. So kamsahamnida, that is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sweta. Applause for her. And my turn. Actually, I have a question for each presenter. Is it allowed? Is that allowed? Okay, we already heard about for research. Oh no, or you a proposal, right? And I have a question to Ms. Nurmiranti. Can you describe how the elderly experience about social media? Because from the presentation, it is limited to describe how they experience it. And I have read about the difficulties of elderly when they accessing the social media. And so I want to ask, how about in Gorontalo? Is there any difficulties to access social media, especially in the issue about COVID-19? The second one is to Mrs. Anissa. Can you tell more about the knowledge barriers from the people who access DHA? I saw from your presentation there is a knowledge barriers in accessing DHA. So I want to ask, can you explain more about that? And from for Bu Vita, Mrs. Vita, it is an interesting research about that you try to mapping the research about reception analysis. That's my favorite subject for research. Then, and from your finding, can you explain the research gap or new topic that we can more explore with reception analysis, or the model of encoding decoding Stuart Hall? And the last one for Bu Yudi. Okay, you said the first one is you said that in the condition to dissolution, people use the social media more often. But I think because they try to look for the new one. Anyway, I don't want to ask you, but I want to give a suggestion about for your proposal. I see the phenomenon about young people using second account as an option to maintain the relationship between their circle or their group. Is that right? Okay. And it affects their communication pattern. Also, you can explore more about what they think or their perception about what is ethic in communication, in interpersonal communication, and the barriers between they and their friends. And that's all from me.
Thank you, Bu Fufi. The first questions we answer start from you, and after this, Miss Anissa and Pufita, and the last me. Okay. The first question is about the social media. How about the youth and youth or not in Gorontalo, about the social media and the context of vaccine, Okay.
Thank you. Can I ask this question with Indonesian language?
That's okay.
Oke, tentang pengalaman lansia yang di Gorontalo, pengalaman mencari informasi soal vaksin. Kalau di Gorontalo itu dia cukup beragam pencarian informasinya, pengalamannya mereka itu. Kalau yang Facebook itu mereka mendapatkan informasi itu dari postingannya orang-orang soal vaksinasi, dari postingannya orang-orang, kemudian ada yang men-share link berita. Jadi di situ dari situlah mereka mendapatkan informasi jika itu melalui Facebook, begitu. Itu seperti itu. Oke. Yang ini Gorontalo semuanya atau hanya cuma? Oh ya. Jadi seperti yang hasil penelitian saya itu kan dia ada radio, ada televisi, ada Facebook, dan ada face to face. Jadi kalau yang dari hasil yang saya dapatkan itu mereka menggunakan media televisi, dan itu hanya misalnya siaran TV yang mereka gunakan pun hanya siaran berita saja seperti TV One dan Kompas seperti itu. Kemudian di radio juga maksudnya tidak banyak, rata-rata mereka sama-sama menggunakan TV One, sama-sama menggunakan Metro TV seperti itu. Kemudian untuk media sosial sendiri, saya mendapatkan bahwa untuk lansia mereka memang lebih dominan ke Facebook. Jadi mereka lebih familiar dengan Facebook. Tidak ada media sosial yang mereka gunakan yang lain. Gitu. Terus untuk face to face sendiri mereka mendapatkan informasi soal vaksinasi itu dari majelis taklim seperti itu. Kemudian sosialisasi langsung dari dinas kesehatan yang lewat pemerintah desa seperti itu. Terus yang kedua, informasi melalui media Facebook. Gimana?
How they use the social media, if they find the difficulties, mereka kesulitan nggak mengakses media sosial?
Oh iya. Jadi sesuai yang saya dapatkan, mereka untuk sosial media memang yang hanya familiar hanya Facebook. Jadi untuk Facebook mereka mudah untuk mengakses itu. Jadi memang yang menggunakan Facebook ini mereka yang lansia yang memiliki pendidikan yang SMA dan S1 D3 begitu. Jadi mereka yang memiliki pendidikan yang cukup tinggi. Jadi ini membahas. Jadi tidak semua lansia yang saya teliti itu menggunakan Facebook. Jadi ada yang Facebook, ada yang media sosial, media massa dan face to face. Ada juga yang cuman menggunakan yang hanya dari media massa saja seperti itu. Gitu. Bisa menjawab? Terima kasih.
Anissa, Miss Anissa.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Okay, about the obstacle in using digital health application. First, the most frequent obstacle that facing by the respondent, availability of medicine needed. The solution, first, they switch to another digital health application provider that have the medicine that needed by the respondent. The second solution, the respondent have put order. Usually the pharmacy will confirm whether it will refund for the non-available medicine or change the brand medicine to the same function of the medicine. And for the second obstacle, first solution that can be applied by respondent, same they can switch to another application that have a better doctor schedule, or they can wait to make appointment to chat with doctors when needed. And the third is connection problem. Yeah, it's they can find another provider, Wi-Fi better provider, or they can wait until they can have a good connection. And for the obstacle feature and application quality, usually as a user and respondent of the digital health application are seeing one to another provider, so they can choose which one the better one and the easiness application that can fulfill their needs. I think that's enough.
Okay, thank you, Miss Anissa.
Thank you.
Okay, Bu Vita, please.
Okay, thank you. So Bu Vivi asked about the research gap and also maybe a kind of recommendation for a new topic or new models. So for my notes, I have mentioned some, but I will put more here. So for the research gap, actually, when I try to browse, there are a lot of scriptsy or thesis or dissertation about what is it? Reception analysis, yeah, reception theory. But I ignored that. So I use the journal articles. Why? Because all of the thesis or the scriptsy or undergraduate paper, they only discuss about Stuart Hall, and also a lot of them using like representation and something like that. And then I try to find the level of journal articles, because it is reviewed, and then it's also use some editors, so it should be like not published freely like that. So that is the base why I choose journal articles. And then the result is almost the same. So like too many Stuart Hall. And then yeah, we love Stuart Hall, but why only Stuart Hall? So I mentioned before there is Ian Ang and John Fisk and others. So my interest is actually about Ian Ang. Why? Because Ian Ang used a kind of method. It's really liberating. So you just ask one question: why do you like watching teles? What is the most intriguing things that you watch, or your motivation to watching teles? Watching teles is a kind of American TV shows. So by these very simple questions, there are a lot of answers, and most of them are women. And then you can categorize it, and then you can get more like a method or more category or more what do you call it? System or models based on the demography. So for women like this, and for men like this, for youngsters, for older. So that will be very rich data that you can talk about if you use Ian Ang. So that is my first suggestion. And then for the new topics, so actually I would love to see more underrated movies. So like, yeah, as you can see, the choice of the movie titles is always controversial and always some popularity. So yeah, it's popular. That's why people like it. But what is new about this? So what about the underrated? What about the specific audience? What about the genre? For example, history genre, or crimes, or about corruption, or about comedies. So we got a lot of local movies too. So we can ask about the local movies, and then about comedies. So sometimes we watch comedy movies, but some of our friends laugh a lot, but we think that it's not funny. So it's sometimes the comedy is the sense of humor is also different. And musical. So you can see, for example, for a specific audience, we have musical drama or musical movies, but not so much in Indonesia, right? Petualangan Sherina is actually a musical movie. So you can ask the opinion of some musicians, it's very specific audience, or some singer community, or some like costume designers, or yeah, those kind of specific audience. And then what else? About animation, but yeah, I know Indonesian movies are very limited. Most of them drama, horror, but not many for animation. So I would love to see about animation movie, because we have a Battle of Surabaya before, like in 2014. And then for the research gap, it's about, I got an idea from Yudi's presentation actually. Interpersonal communication in intercultural situation. So what about if you watch like Ngeri Ngeri Sedap, Missing Home? It's a Batak movie, and I'm a Japanese. So there is like an intercultural experience. I watch Batak movie, but I am a Japanese. So this kind of contradictory audience that will be interesting to see. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bu Hita. Yeah. And the last question, maybe not questions, but comment, But I want to say about something about second account, There is a research about the second account. Maybe have two account, Have two account. And the first account for presents your real you in the real world, And the second account is you, yourself, but has already manipulated, right? This research is analyzed by dramaturgy theory, because in this theory we know about two states, front state and back states, and two account, maybe one for front states and the second account is for back states, Okay, because the time is out, time is running out, So I close these sessions, and I want to say thank you for the presenters, or the presenter, Bu Vita and Miss Bu Anissa, because if I talk about Bu Vita, maybe jealous, why I call Bu, not Miss, So thank you for Miss Vita and Miss Anissa, and also lupa lagi, and also me. Thank you for myself. And see you again in the next conference and next day, because we have to see again in the next day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So we can leave.
Okay, tomorrow the seminar will be started at 9.